people, it's MyTyme here. Welcome to another episode of WWE Supercard Season 2. I've got another change of my desktop, as you can probably see. It's another picture which emulates the whole theme of WWE going on. I am currently further in my Ring Domination progress. I am on to the Ultra Rare now. Chris Jericho, Bradshaw revealed. I won't spoil who the Ultra Rare is. A little birdie has told me on good authority who I'm going to get, but I haven't got any pieces yet, so I won't ruin that for any of you who maybe are still trying to get the card and like the suspense, because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed waiting to find out who I'm going to get. And as you may notice, I have now tried to work a little bit further into making my videos a bit better. There should be some background music. Any other things, please let me know. Any other thing I can do to help my little shall we say venture grow would be greatly appreciated. But at the moment I thought I'd stick out a little video which shows you where I currently am, play a few games. Now during the time between I last posted and now, I've got a few cards. I have two Titos and Santianas in my deck, which are both super rares that I'm currently trying to train up and to make them into a pro. I have Paige here, and I also have another Paige who is almost completely done. This page requires a few more games. She's just been bought in. My other page is completely done in I think 2 of the 4 attributes, and she's about 13, 14 abilities in. So I thought I'd bring this one in for the moment, train her up a bit. And I have this Miz as well. I pulled him, just random pull, playing. I think it was actually a Ring Domination game I pulled him. It was either Ring Domination or just getting a few energy cards in between. So as you can see, I've had him here now, so he needs a few power games and a few procs, but he's almost ready. So once he's done, that means I'll be able to pro him with my other Miz, and he will be my first card, which is going to take me above 500 in an attribute. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. That will help me if I pro that Miz, and I also pro that Page. That will get me probably 3/4 of the way up Ultra Rare. I won't be too far off of an Ultra Rare Plus. So that's where we're at with the deck. Once again, how many games am I now? Just over 1650. Still playing free. Still not buying, or I say playing for free. I'm not buying any cards. I'm not going out and improving my deck from purchasing cards. I'm very tempted to, and maybe if I got to the stage that I had a reasonably good deck, I would think about doing it. But at the moment, I'm not bothering to. The only thing I have done is I have purchased some bouts. You can see down the bottom left, I've got 35 title matches. Now I've done that for the benefit of Ring Domination, and I did it in the last, what was the last one? Road to Glory, because I needed to get some +2 games to be able to finish Bret Hart, and with that I also bought a few of the bouts. So I've made one deposit onto the game, and with those credits I have only ever bought bouts or title matches. So yeah, I thought I'll just play a little bit of Supercards in the meantime. Now, if any of you have watched any of my other videos, I did do a video which showed you a strategy that I use for Ring Domination. Now, it's worked for me very well throughout Rare and Super Rare. I think I've lost 2 matches in the whole time, and in fact even into this Ultra Rare, but we're only a couple of games in. Now, I think as you go through, you do get slightly harder opponents. Now, I can't confirm that, but I noticed that from Rare to Super Rare, especially in Ultra Rare, I've noticed a lot more from Super Rare to Ultra Rare in a few games I've played, the 1 or 2 games, than I did from going to Rare to Super Rare. That the opponent seems to have a better caliber deck, even if they're still in the same kind of rank, so sorry, the same kind of tier, so if they're still legendary is a bad example because I'm not legendary, but if they're still, say, super rare plus, then their deck seems to be better. It's almost like any of the 4, 5, 6 whatever good cards they have keep coming out and I keep facing them, and obviously that's not a good situation to be in. So as you can see here, that there are no cards coming out which are in their low 200s, kind of 100 cards. It just seems to be like kind of medium top tier card in the deck, one after another. So you need to think a bit further with this kind of with these games. They're not so much automatic like I was finding most of the games in rare and super rare. So if you haven't seen that video, it might sound boring, but I really do recommend just having a look at it, because as I said, this tactics worked very well for me, and I've just played that game here without explaining what I was doing, and I won it. You only have to win 5-4, so I didn't have my bonus in play. You notice I don't skip opponents, don't change the opponent. All I do is just, if it happens to be ultra rare, I have played a couple of ultra rares by mistake, so I wasn't paying attention in the super rare category, so look out for that. But yeah, I changed 2 of my characters. I brought in Tito here, which you can see as my weaker card, to train him up, because by using him in Ring Domination, they will still get points towards their overall stats, so you can complete the 10-20 games played to increase their passive abilities. So for example, this was toughness and something else. I think toughness and charisma. As a result, he will get 1 point in toughness and 1 point in charisma. So it becomes a very, 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 very good way to train up your cards rather than just exhibition. So I've now training up my Miz in exhibition, like in between. So in between, when I was running out of bouts and I needed some energies and stuff for King of the Ring, I play that, train up Miz, train up Paige, and then in here I've been trying to train up both my Titos. So you know, you can use the game, although people say, oh, it's such a grind, you have to play so many more games if you want to, you know, you want to level them up properly, etc. But it's really worth it. I mean, if you look at this Brock Lesnar isn't nowhere near as good as my Dolph Ziggler. Now I'm not too sure if he's completely fully up to level 20 and he's played all the required games, but for a power guy and toughness kind of guy, he's got nothing in terms of speed in him, and you know, charisma. And then again, if I go to my Ultimate Warrior, once again, same situation. Now yes, someone might say, well, Ultimate Warrior's got slightly better stats anyway than Brock Lesnar overall. Dolph Ziggler doesn't. So it does pay to spend that bit of time and to make sure that you create the best card you possibly can. Now if you're just going to feed cards, then that's fine. With that tip, I have done a video on feeding cards and proing them, etc. But if you haven't seen that and you can't be bothered to, one tip is, if you're going to do a card, pick a rare, super rare card, feed them your commons, uncommons, etc. Fine, no problems. So let me think way up. I should come rights. So I need him 3-4. So I needed this. If he takes it, I need to be able to put a card that doesn't matter what happens. So there we go. Sorry, just thinking to myself. Yeah, so get a card, for example, a rare, 2 rare, I don't know, pick anyone, doesn't matter, 2 rare Brock Lesnar's, there you go. Merge them together to get the Silver Pro. Level that card up and you feed it to your bigger card, you get a bigger boost. Okay, so rather than, for example, feeding your ultra rare, let's see, feeding your ultra rare Randy Orton, all your common and uncommon cards, common and uncommon cards, feed them to your pro super rare card that you're then going to feed to Randy Orton, and you'll get your biggest boost possible. Because if you were to physically put those single cards into Randy Orton, your boost will be less than putting them into the rare card, getting your rare card max, and then putting your rare card into Randy Orton. So you'll find a lot of players, you know, higher up in the ranks, will keep some rares and super rare stuff, even though they're technically not been used in their game. They'll keep them to feed, because it's quicker to feed them and then feed that card into their strong cards. And that's why a lot of the time you will see, for example, somebody who will pick a ultra rare, maybe an epic card, and feed it into their, say, legendary WrestleMania cards, especially from season 1. And if you're new, you're like, wow, why are you feeding that good card? It's because the amount of time it will take you to get your hero up to the full level using the smaller, weaker cards is, let's put it this way, it's just extremely time consuming. And I haven't had that problem yet, but I have seen it and seen people feeding into it, seen how much of a difference it actually makes to levels once you exceed that level, like 25 and stuff. So you're just going to be sat there basically wasting your whole time feeding small cards into a big card, and just where you could, I've just thrown my pendant on the floor, where you could have just been playing the game and letting those cards play in the meantime, and just feeding the small cards into your, like, should we say, better feeder cards. So yeah, definitely look out for that. You know, Ring Domination is going to have another, what was it, 245, another, probably got 23 and a half hours, no, 22 and a half hours, something like that to go. So there's plenty of time left. Now there should be plenty of time for me to complete this. I probably would not need to use any more boosts or anything if I were to just play this. I'm going to try and put in a couple of hours now, and I don't need to take this battle, but this will guarantee me to win. Shouldn't have taken it really, I should have gone for the quick version, but never mind. Yeah, so hopefully if I get a few battles in now, I'll get a few good picks in that, I won't need to use them, and I'll get the cards. You guys don't know how far in you are. If you've got a realistic chance of getting the card and you have some credits, then it probably is worth using it on the picks. Now, I know it sounds silly to say, but if you leave it down to the last, like, hour, 2 hours to get it, then you're going to find that you're going to leave yourself with, like, a lot of playing, and you're going to be pulling cards, and you might pull cards, you might pull bonus picks, etc., and you've then gone and spent some money on bonus picks, and you're like, oh, I didn't need to do that, because once the event finishes, you finished the event, you can't go any further, so you can only play the 3 tiers. If you complete Ultra, you don't then go into Epic, then into Legendary, etc. You've only got the 3 tiers. So if you complete it and you've got bonus picks left, they're wasted. So if you are going to use them and you think I should use them earlier, and then you'll be able to judge it nearer the time of the event ending, if you need to, say, either A, purchase any more, or B, how much you need to play, because you might find that, hey, you know what, I can just let the bouts rejuvenate normally over time, and bingo, I'll get the card, because I don't have that many picks left to get. So keep an eye out for that. After this, we're going to just see if I did actually make it through to the semi-finals of King of the Ring. I should have done. I'd be disappointed if I didn't. Now some of you might be looking at this and well, basically wondering, like, why I'm putting certain cards in certain spaces. As I said, I have done a video on Ring Domination. I played 6 games, I won all 6, and I even had a game where it looked like I was probably going to lose, and I explained how I turned that around and won it. But basically, long story short, I'm going to use a card to take his edge, because he's then going to take the card that I put in here, and I'm then going to leave another card that I can take this card potentially back. So what happens here is, actually I can't really do that, can I? Yeah, I can. So I throw in the Miz to take on edge. Now this guy doesn't have a really strong up card. I've explained why in the previous video, but if he did, he would have taken my Jack Swagger. He wouldn't have thrown in an edge card which didn't, you know, that edge card basically which didn't fight anyone. And here we see, so I know he hasn't got a strong up card, a strong down card, because if he did, he'd have either taken edge or my Miz. So that means his only strength cards are going to be probably left arrows, and I'm going to prove that by putting a card in the bottom left so he attacks it. Now I only need to win 5 squares, I've got 4 at the moment, so if I put a card in, I put my Roman Reigns in here, he will put a card in the bottom left and he'll attack it, left card. Well, there I'm wrong, okay. I'm completely wrong. I don't know anything about Ring Domination, I just get bloody lucky, obviously. Part of my theory is right, he didn't have any cards able to take the ones along the middle. That's how I knew I would win, and that's how I knew I could put my card in the bottom left to potentially show you guys what I meant. But yeah, so that's me out of bounds for the moment. I've just about won this game, but this guy must have come in right. So he's come in, he's used his energies to try and win the game, and unfortunately it was over by the time they kicked in. So yay me, through to the semi-finals where we will face the Chris. So have to decide whether I'm going to bother throwing in more energies or not. Probably will. Okay, we'll get on to some exhibition in a minute. You might notice my card levels came to full. So in this scenario, what you should do is you should take the card you're going to feed, so for example your common and uncommon cards, and pro as many of them as you can. So take your rock, combine him, pro him. I have showed this in a previous video, however I'm not too sure if it's on this channel or not, but believe me when I say that taking 2, for example here, Sin Caras, and putting them into a hero via improving will not give you as much XP even as combining them both together, making them a pro, and then using them as the card that you improve your selected card with. So what you would do is come here, do all this basically, and then feed your cards. Now what I tend to do, because I'm trying to save a bit of time, is I will come here when my card limit is full, do all the cards I can, and then I'll feed them all. Now some people will, if they want to get the most out of it, they will only feed the cards which they have pro'd. So you will then try and get more cards and then see if you got some more duplicates to pro up. But obviously the more cards you've already got here, the greater the chance of when you put a card you make a duplicate. If you wipe all your uncommon cards and you start to pick them out, it's going to be harder for you to make duplicates. But that is a lot more time consuming, and it's a personal preference I guess, but yeah, I'd probably go for the way that I do it. As you can see here, these guys, most of these are silver cards, they're going to be fed. Once I get, for example, my say Miz is a good example. Once I get my Miz into being a perfect pro, I will pick one of those guys, feed them, self up, and then it'll probably give him, I don't know, 15 levels maybe, something like that. So I'll either throw 2 of them in there, or I'll throw one of those, one rare card that isn't. So for example, I might throw an Undertaker, which is pro. I might then throw in say Andre the Giant, which isn't, and then top up the rest with my common and uncommon cards. But yeah, so this is how you do it. So you would come in uncommon cards into your rare or super rare if you're fortunate enough to have an abundance of super rare cards that you don't need. And then you would use those rare cards to feed your stronger cards. As I said, this is like applicable for me and for a lot of you whose decks are similar to mine, slightly weaker, slightly stronger. Once you say, I said, get to the epic legendary kind of tiers, then a pro Coco Beware, which is level 20, isn't going to have the same kind of impact into your card. Then you would probably be looking at super rare pros and ultra rare pros that you don't use to give you the boost that your card needs. You take quite a few of these, but certainly for the first few kind of like levels, so rare, ultra rare, super rare, all those kind of things, even epic, pretty much until you hit the latter stages of the epic tier or maybe even legendary tier, you can keep feeding. You can keep feeding your common and uncommon cards to your rare cards, and then feed your rare cards. So yeah, this was just a little look at the game. Bit of a countdown on Ring Domination, bit of waiting on network. Everyone loves to wait on network, don't they? It's great. It just proves you it doesn't matter what time of the day you play, you can wait on a network. Yeah. So I'm going to probably wrap things up there for the moment. I am going to say though, those of you that enjoy WWE Supercard, don't want to make you into big traitors or anything, but there's another game, I don't know which game's been on longer, which is very, very similar, and probably quite a few of you play it already. It's a 2K game by Cat Daddy again. It's called, I think it's actually called My NBA, but NBA 2K15, and it is pretty much the same game in terms of cards and leveling them up and progression up the tiers, except for it's NBA based. Now I believe they have over 1,000 cards. They go through, same here, they go through legendary players, current players, players from last year, players from teams from 10 years ago, etc. And obviously you play through, they have a season mode. Now it's just a bit different in the layout. Like, you will, I mean, I used to watch a lot of basketball, but I'm not American, as you can probably tell, and as a result, as I got older, I didn't really follow it as much, so I'm not an expert with, you know, the game and that, but they're used to 5 positions, you know, for point guard, etc, etc, and you got players in those positions, and then they will get boosts if you play your card in the right position, and you know, you can then level them up, and you can add attributes and stuff to them, or like enhancements as now in WWE to them to improve certain things and stuff. And it's basically Supercard of NBA, slightly different strategy, because the games play out slightly differently. They have overtime there, which is quite common, and a strategy I seem to find which is quite useful there is to continuously go into overtime if you know you've got a card which is definitely going to win it, because you don't seem to get penalised for doing so. I've got to pay a little bit of attention here because I'm trying to just make sure I don't lose. And yeah, I started playing it, and I've just found out recently that I believe NBA 2K16 was released at the end of September, and subsequently My NBA 2K16, so for your phone, will be released on October the 1st. So when that comes out, I'm going to get into it and try, a bit like with Season 2 of Supercard, I'm going to try from a level playing field. Now, I don't know if they're going to offer rewards if you're able to transfer cards across, if there will be a fusion chamber, all that kind of stuff. I haven't looked into it, haven't read in the forum, so I don't want to lie, but I'm going to be giving that a go. Any of you that like the kind of style of game, even if you're, say, maybe not the biggest God, so long about that. If you're not the biggest, can you please go? Yeah, if you're not the biggest fan of basketball, doesn't matter. It's the game, you know. It's the idea of the game, which is the buzz. It's not just because I can relate to the wrestlers that I enjoy the game. It's the actual game itself. And so I enjoy the NBA game as well, even though I don't know all the players that I'm collecting. So that's me. I'm gonna sign out here, go back to a bit of grinding before I go to sleep. So thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought. Leave a comment, leave a like. As I said, I'm going to try and do a few more updates as things come out with the game, as things change, and yeah, if people want to see more videos, I will do more videos. Thank you for watching. Spoiler alert, ultra rare card, Shawn Michaels. See you later.